So a lot of people are probably wondering, why are you lifting an Airstream? Well, Airstreams are famous for how well they tow, and they're sleek and low to the ground and aerodynamic. And we're going to kind of upset all that with the lift. Even though we've only towed it once, we towed it about 800 miles, and almost every single gas station we went into, we scraped something, whether it was the low lifting bars or the little drag plates in the back. And a 30-foot trailer is a big trailer. We plan on spending some time boondocking and getting off the beaten path a little, so we want to lift the whole Airstream up. Now this has pros and cons. Some of the pros, your steps are, everything is 3 inches higher, so they're less likely to drag on stuff. Another pro is this lift is made by Dexter Axle, the people who made the axles for Airstreams. This lift is pretty inexpensive at $200. Usually you don't want to go with really cheap lifts whenever you're lifting a vehicle, but for a trailer it's pretty straightforward. And this is the only option available for Airstreams unless you custom fabricate something yourselves. Another cool thing about this lift is it's removable. So if we want to sell it down the road and the future buyers don't want the lift, it's as simple as unbolting 16 bolts. Well, not quite that simple, as you're about to see, but you get the idea. It's not a permanent attachment. It can come off. Also, our van is lifted 6 inches. That means the trailer hitch is 6 inches higher. So we're currently running a really big drop hitch to be able to match the height of the trailer. By raising this, we'll be able to run a little bit lower drop hitch, which isn't totally necessary, but it sure is nice to get that tongue off the ground a little bit more. So this lift has a few disadvantages. First of all, anytime you lift something, it's going to be higher off the ground with a higher center of gravity. Technically, this should tow a little bit worse, but in the grand scheme of things, we're only raising it 3 inches for a 9-foot tall vehicle, so it's not that big of a deal. Another disadvantage, as you can see from stock, the axle bolts in sideways into the frame. With this kit, the axle is now going to bolt in vertically, and side horizontal bolts are going to be way stronger and safer than a vertical bolt. But if everything's torqued down and it's tight, this shouldn't be an issue at all, but I'm going to keep an eye on this for safety's sake. One other disadvantage with this kit is it doubles the amount of bolts that are holding your axle on. So that means there's more points of potential failure. Theoretically, this will be tougher to tow and more prone to wind, but most people that have done this lift don't notice a difference at all. By lifting it, we also gain more wind resistance because it's less low to the ground and more turbulence underneath. That's going to result in a little bit worse mileage. So even though this is a pro for me, it may be a con for some people. The hitch is going to be 3 inches higher, and you're going to have to change your hitch configuration to match that level. Also, with everything being 3 inches higher off the ground, your stabilizer jacks and your tongue jack now have to droop an extra 3 inches to have contact with the ground. I'm not even sure if my stabilizer jacks are going to be able to reach the ground. So that's going to be an interesting experiment. May have to get some blocks, may have to do some add-ons. We'll see what happens there. So this kit costs about $200 plus $30, $40 shipping. And that's a lot cheaper than a new set of stairs or replacing a creased panel that when you scraped going through a wash or something. Now we're not going to go off-roading in this thing, but we think the pros outweigh the cons in this case, even though there's a lot of cons. Every trailer owner is different, and we all use our trailers differently. If you don't need more ground clearance, don't do this. If you do, it's one of the cheapest ways to gain ground clearance and avoid damage to stairs and other things like that if you're getting off the road a little bit, or if you simply find yourself dragging more than you'd like.